Page 37. They're our rainforests too. As the bold equatorial sun pushes the morning mist off the Aguarico River, men paddle dugout canoes upstream to fish or slip into the forest to hunt. Women bend over cooking fires. Children gather palm fronds to repair a thatch roof. These are the Quichua people of Ecuador's Amazon, members of one of hundreds of indigenous tribes that depend on the tropical rainforest for their very survival. As one boatman says, "You cannot separate us from the forest." At first glance, that bond may seem exotic to a North American whose morning routine involves a kitchen, beverages from cartons, cereal, a coffee maker. But take a second look. The kitchen cabinets may be made of mahogany, waxed with tropical plant resins. The chairs may be made of rattan. Much of the breakfast, juice, cornflakes, bananas, coffee, sugar, is from plants that originated in tropical forests. Even the warblers giving the dawn serenade outside spend winter in the tropics. The evidence is clear. North Americans depend on rainforests too. Look carefully and you'll find a bit of jungle in your foods, the medicines on your shelf, 1,000 products from shampoo to guitars, the stock market, the weather, the daily news, and your daydreams. Now consider the ongoing destruction of the world's rainforests, about 100 acres a minute. If consumers have a stake in halting the ruin so they can continue to benefit from tropical biodiversity, might they also have leverage for doing so? That's the question being asked by a growing number of scientists, conservationists, business people, and inhabitants of the tropics, all working at strengthening the North-South bond in ecologically sound ways. Who are these people? Among them are the ornithologist, lawyer, tourism director, forester, and ethnobotanist. Then there are, of course, indigenous peoples. That Quichua boatman on the Aguarico, for one, is not fishing with his cohorts. He is ferrying visitors through the region's splendor in an effort to fend off oil development with a strong tourism industry. Rainforests have awed their visitors ever since outsiders first ventured into the jungle, eliciting hyperbole from explorers and scientists alike. The normally staid British naturalist Charles Darwin called rainforests one great, wild, untidy, luxuriant hothouse made by nature for herself. That hothouse forms a skimpy green sash around the Earth's midsection. Not all tropical forests are rainforests. Some are dry, even deciduous. To ecologists, true tropical rainforests grow where the average temperature is at least 75 degrees. No frosts occur and rain falls all year, totaling at least 80 inches. But the term rainforest popularly applies to all tropical forests. Rainforests also grow in temperate zones, such as the Olympic Peninsula in Washington state. But these bear little resemblance to the steamy tropical versions, which consist of broad-leafed evergreen trees with tops forming a canopy so dense a monkey troop can scramble aloft for miles. Most of the natural action in a tropical rainforest is up in the canopy. The terrain below is deeply shadowed, open, and quieter than above. There are 1,000 shades of green, punctuated by spots of sunlight and high flowers. Vines stretch from ground to treetop, and plants, such as orchids and mosses, festoon every surface of the big trees in vigorous competition for sunlight. The plants even grow upon each other, forming hanging gardens. The variety can be overwhelming to a visitor accustomed to, say, the United States national parks. Rainforests now grace only 5% of the Earth's land surface, yet they contain at least half of its plant and animal species. About 400 tree species grow in all of temperate North America. As many as 200 flourish in a single acre of rainforest. One park in Ecuador hosts more bird species than exist in all of North America. A single square mile of the Amazon may be home to 1,500 kinds of butterflies. Only about 750 flit through the United States and Canada. Some 900 species of fig trees grow in tropical forests, each pollinated by its own kind of wasp. Ecuador has more species of plants than Europe, which has a surface area 31 times greater. Harvard biologist E.O. Wilson once found 43 species of ants on a single tree in Peru, about equal, he says, to the ant fauna of the British Isles. During the past 30 years, about 1/3 of the world's rainforests have disappeared, and the rate of destruction is increasing. About half of the remaining tropical rainforests are in Latin America. Most of the others are divided between Africa and Southeast Asia. Throughout the tropics, logging is feeding the largely Japanese and American appetites for tropical woods. Cattle ranchers and farmers raise forests for pasture and crops, encouraged by governments and international lending agencies. Millions of desperate farmers hack plots in the jungle, burning the vegetation to farm in the ashes, which act as fertilizer for a few years before moving on to repeat the process. Then there is deliberate colonization. In some countries, such as Indonesia and Brazil, governments encourage people to leave crowded cities for the forest, where the nutrient-poor soil often does not sustain cultivation. And an estimated 1.5 billion people worldwide use dwindling forests for firewood, often the only source of fuel. As tropical forests vanish, the planet leaks species like air from a punctured tire. But scientists and conservationists do find some reason for hope. Biosphere reserves, binational parks, and biological corridors now link countries that were warring just years ago. Brazil, which hosts 1/4 of the world's remaining rainforests, has taken steps to control deliberate forest fires, demarcate reserves for indigenous peoples, and reduce subsidies for cattle ranchers. Some countries, including Nicaragua, the Philippines, and Papua New Guinea, have stopped exporting their logs. Then there are the links between North America and the rainforest, which offer countless opportunities for scientific study and business ventures alike. Perhaps most important are medicines. Some of our most essential drugs already come from rainforest plants, and less than 1% of the tens of thousands of tropical plant species have been tested for medicinal value. Rodrigo Gamez, director of Costa Rica's National Biodiversity Institute, says unexamined species are like books that have never been opened or read. We don't even know what language they're in. Among the foods with jungle origins are avocados, bananas, cashews, chocolate, cinnamon, coconuts, coffee, grapefruits, lemons, paprika, and vanilla. Then there are additives, oils from bay, palm, and rosewood trees used in perfumes, soaps, and shampoos, resins from the copa tree common in paints and varnishes, latex from the rubber tree used in products from tires to sneakers, and carnauba wax used in plastics, carbon paper, and coatings of pain relievers. Fibers from tropical forests include the bamboo of furniture and the jute and raffia of rope. The list of bounty linking north and south could fill several pages. The rainforest pharmacy. Often guided by traditional healers, scientists are combing rainforests worldwide in search of cures or treatments for ailments ranging from AIDS to the common cold. The sources of tomorrow's drugs might include Ancestrocletus, a woody vine from the rainforests of Central Africa that may have potent antiviral properties, Chiaponia ophthalmica, an Amazonian gourd that may be effective against conjunctivitis, and Virola, a plant in the nutmeg family used in the Amazon as a hallucinogen, an arrow poison, and a treatment for fungal infections. Though discovery and testing of such drugs take years of painstaking work, scientists have plenty of reason for optimism. More than 1/3 of the current 121 prescription drugs derived from plants have their origins in the rainforest. Vocabulary focus: serenade, biodiversity, leverage, cohort, skimpy, deciduous, canopy, punctuate, festoon, flit, raise, hack, dwindling, demarcate, ailment, derive, additive. This ends the reading for Advanced Studio Classroom, April 1994.